I don't want to do that. Save that. So, hi everybody. So far, we're here live today with Lana Paul,
Hello.
and this is the podcast in spite of. And my apologies for my delay. I was trying to check on a friend who's trying to evacuate her daughter out of New York, and then check in with some other friends. And all of a sudden, I thought, oh, I need to pay attention to the clock. So, everyone, I would like to introduce to you Lana Paul. And Lana Paul is a grief educator. And there's a reason I brought her on today, and she's going to be able to explain it much more better. Much more better. Listen to that. Much better than I can. So let's have a little laughter today, and thank you everybody who's
Exactly.
watching. But a grief educator gives people skills to manage in tough times, and it's a process. So it's not a therapy process as much as, hey, it's time to build your toolbox. So I want everybody to know what their resources are. So sometimes we get hung up on our fear. We get hung up on, geez, I don't want this to be happening. This is frustrating and this is scary and I don't know what to do. And before you pull your hair out, before you overeat, before you go out and overspend and panic buy and can't return your toilet paper to Costco, you need somebody like Lana. So, Lana, what I'd like to do is to just have you briefly describe what it is you do. We won't talk about how you got here yet. We'll just talk
Yeah.
about, like, how do you help in times like this?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And how I help. I think there's probably more than one. There's more than one way. But one way is I learned through my training to have a new way to listen to people. That's probably one of the biggest pieces of the work that I do, and that I would love to spread to other people. And that's to listen to each other and just really be present to the other person, and not to bring any judgment in, because we could easily do that, right? We could be listening and we could say, oh, in our minds we could be thinking, oh, if I were in your shoes, I would do this, or I would do that, or I would have reacted this way, right? So
Yeah.
it's a lot about listening without judgment.
Okay.
There's a lot of power in that.
How hard is it for somebody to get there? Don't they have to do a lot of self-listening first and realize they're even doing it?
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
what?
it's difficult. I've talked to different people about it, and they say, I unfortunately think I'm a pretty judgmental person. Like, I have a lot of love in my heart, but I'm pretty judgmental. And I think developing that skill is actually doing the work on yourself.
Yeah.
And because honestly, we all need to be heard and seen more, and for the things that have happened to us. And the more that we have that experience and we can let go of things we're holding on to, we can show up for others
Mm-hmm.
and not judge them more, judge
Right.
them less. Yeah.
Right. I I know it's something that even though you get I'll say good at anybody, you still have to be in constant awareness that you need to be present. To be present doesn't come because, oh, tick that one off my list. It's like an everyday activity, isn't it?
It is. And what I'm constantly talking to myself in a good way, though. I promise I'm not crazy.
Good, because you're my
Most days
friend
I'm
and I
not
don't hate that.
most days I'm not crazy. So what happens for me when I'm listening to someone, and it can be a client, but it could be a friend or a family member, and if I feel a lot of emotion or reaction come up within me while I'm with this person, then I recognize that, so that when the encounter is over, I can address whatever it is in me that's come up. Because it's telling me, oh, hello, you have a little something there that you need to resolve. so that you can show up next time being fully present. So I'm not perfect, right? I'm not a perfect listener.
Yeah, but just the fact that we recognize imperfection helps us move toward perfection. But my gosh, when situations change, there is no perfect because we've never been there before. It's like where we are now. It's like, so what you have are tools for people that no matter the situation and no matter the surprise in the situation, they have a resource.
Yeah.
Because yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what I teach is a tool. What I support people, but I am an educator. And so I sit with people and we look at grief and loss, and we look at what we were taught and is it working in our lives today. And a lot of times it's brand new information with clients because we don't know what we don't know, right? We've been taught through just sort of being around our families, and generations have spread the grief information because that's what they've been taught. And so we don't really know oftentimes that we're operating on a belief system from a generation or more back that is not keeping us in a healthy place.
I'm so glad you said that because I've had a few instances, like, I'll just try to briefly describe them because I was about 34 when I realized that I had not really grieved the death of my mother, but it had taken a year in therapy for me even to own that. The levels of stress that I had, I wasn't aware of. And I kind of could see where I over accelerated sometimes in times of emergency. And when that awareness came, it was like, oh, you mean people really postpone grieving? And then about the same time, there's a big family event in Colorado. And I lived in California at that time. And I come back to Colorado and everybody's looking at old home movies that I had one aunt and uncle that did the home movie thing. My dad did the camera and the slide projector till you were crazy. But but she came up to me and thought she was being very, very helpful. And she says, oh, I wanted to save your feelings. I cut your mother out of all of the movies.
Oh my gosh.
I had to leave the room. I was devastated.
I bet.
So people do have odd ways of handling grief.
They do.
And so tell me more about what part of your process is going to help both sides of that equation. Because, postponement or like denial.
Well, the process works no matter where you pick it up. So if my mom died yesterday, I could start today working on grief because we do a review of our lives. When we go through this process, we look at we review our lives, and then we choose a relationship to work on. And so it can start immediately when there's a loss. So I would say right now, we're all in loss. We're all experiencing grief because everything that has been familiar to us just about is different now, or is in a state of becoming different. It's changing. So it's our emotional reaction to all that's happening. So if you think of that, that's a lot of grievers in the world right now. So right. We can start immediately, but honestly, wherever you are in your journey, you can pick it up and learn the tools, and you can release things from many, many, many years ago. So at any point, you can jump in and learn the tool, and it's something you can learn. I think it's better to learn with someone because there's you're working on your emotional lives, right? So it's helpful to have someone with you, walking beside you, holding you accountable to do it. But and it's fairly straightforward. It really, it takes courage, but it's also in a lot of ways, surprisingly easy, especially when you realize the price you've been paying for carrying the grief for so long.
Wow.
That price is huge. And comparing that to the 3 or 4 sessions where you do the actual work, there's no comparison. No comparison.
Fascinating. Yeah, I never thought about that. There's something growling on your side. Is that your dog?
No, we contained her.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, no.
I was going to say, do you have a lion in the room?
I'm sorry if you hear a growl. I'm going to say I have a lion in the room.
Okay. Well, that's cool. We know that. So. But I really like that. You're right. Even right now, I'm going to take this term you used, state of being different. Right now, a state of sheltering at home is a state of being different. A state of having to evacuate somebody from one state and get them home is another, it's just, we've got, oh my God, moments showing up all the time. And when we see friends out there sharing that, I think one of the things that I learned in some of my processes is I can't take on somebody else's drama. And is that also part of your function? Like, how can I be there to support, but not take on their crisis as my own? Is that something that you share?
It's not exactly in that grief process that I teach, but it is. The more you've done your work, the better you are able to do that. And I believe, well, there's 2 things, but I believe that the more clear we are with our emotional baggage, the stronger that muscle is to help others in all walks of life, whether, whoever the person is. And I think we're also energetic beings. And there's a lot of we can feel like we're taking it on, like, energetically, and we can just intend that that's not going to happen. There's a lot of power in our intention. And so if you were going through that situation you just described, I could set my intention before calling you up to be there for you, but for your energy to stay there, and I don't need to take it into me. Because I need to protect me so that put my mask on first so that I can help you and the next person and however many people there are.
Yeah. I like that. That's a beautiful example.
That intention, we can hold that.
Yeah. So I think what I figured out, it's my echo off of your system that's causing the growl. So I am the lion in the room.
You are? Okay.
But
all
anyway,
right, well, pet your lion.
But you know what I was noticing today, and something that came to mind that I hadn't thought about is a lot. Now is the time for us to also practice not only presence but forgiveness. I'm sure some people are frustrated that they overbought in a panic. I'm sure there are some people who wish that they'd planned better. I'm sure there's some people that, all options are up in the air for everybody. And everybody needs to own that they're doing the best choice making they can right now in this 60-second moment. It's a situational by situational decision making moment. No one has a crystal ball. So what I feel that you bring to the equation is some skill sets and tools to help people just own the now. And I think that's what you've been saying. Is that?
It is. That's not usually the words, but that is what happens. I mean, you hear that a lot, right? Live for now, be in the moment. And oftentimes I feel like there's not a lot of instructions for how to do that, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so what I help people do is process that the things that they've been carrying so they can be here in the now. And each step you take, you're in the now more.
Right.
Every step matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that
And we do our best.
we do.
Like you
So
said.
I work really hard because I'm a high-paced person. I mean, you and I are actually opposites on
We are.
the reactionary skill. And in what if everybody sees me now and thinks that I'm a high-paced decision maker, they didn't know me 30 years ago when I was like a Maserati making decisions. I'm way
Yeah.
tame now. But it's still not tame enough for some people. And but I do realize that even the coaching and the counseling I got on recognizing grief allowed me to sometimes be better at questioning what was going on for somebody. What about them do I not know before I pass a judgment on their behavior? And I'm really appreciating that most of the time I can be good with that.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm okay to apologize if I misread it.
Of course. Of course.
And so how hard are the forgiveness apology patterns in, how much do you cross that, or how much do you find that that's the sticking point for people?
Well, that is the crux of the work. The work is delivering communications from a relationship, whether the person is alive or whether the person has passed away. It is addressing those pieces of what do I need to forgive them for? What do I need to apologize for? And what do I need to say? What do I wish had been said? Or what do I wish they could hear me say? That's the crux of it. And it's done in a way that the other person does not have to be present. So that's how it works if someone's died. But even if they're alive, they're not present during this process. And so it boils down to being seen and heard for exactly your reality. Because like that you can apologize to someone and mean it from the bottom of your heart. That doesn't mean they can receive it.
Ah.
Yeah. So you do this work on your own and you've been seen and heard. So then when you show up to apologize to someone, you know that you're offering a communication, but you're already complete with it in your own work, but you want to offer it to them in person. Whether they can receive it or not it doesn't affect you.
But is that what we call authenticity?
It is. Well, I mean, I think when you apologize, you're being authentic.
We are, but I guess to me there's the people who say I'm sorry, which my interpretation is that they might repeat themselves. But if we come in and we say I apologize, it's got maybe more consideration. And words aren't always the thing, but I have two distinctions in that thing. And so the authenticity piece that I'm hearing everybody uses that word, right? Authenticity, and it's like. And like, that means what? And so a lot of people say, well, I went through the motions. And it's like, the motions don't pass the BS filter.
Right.
And so I mean, just take that and see if there's what you can make of that.
Yes, I will. Yeah. I think I apologize as an action. I am sorry as a feeling. That's kind of, I think, what you're saying.
Okay.
And I think also that when you say, I am sorry, and you then stop talking and you don't make any excuses, none of it. You're saying, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's end of communication.
Yes. You don't need to have somebody. You don't need to share the details to make yourself believe your own story. So sometimes I think that when we're saying these things, we want to believe our own story, and it's like, wait a minute, that should have been handled before. So now you're not in authenticity because it's not done for you.
Right.
And you can, but when you're clear, I think you're less. When people are not clear, I think that's when they walk away with egg on their face and they feel that they lost face.
Right. Exactly.
When they're clear and they share, then they've actually earned face.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
That's a good way of saying it.
Okay. And everybody may not know that. Well, I know we said we'd be here for 15 minutes. I'm absolutely fascinated with this conversation, and you and I can talk about this forever.
Forever.
But I want to tell me your website, Lana.
It's my name. So www.lanapaul.com.
Okay, that's pretty easy, everybody. If you need to get a hold of Lana, learn more about her grief education, and I'm going to retitle it. We are in a time of transition here on March 21st, 2020. We have a lot of unknowns coming up in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Many of us are currently sheltering at home. Many of us are regretting decisions that we did not make prior to this, and how would we have known? Many of us might be regretting our behaviors from a week ago when we said poo-poo to this thing, and now we're all going, oh my gosh, should I, could I, would I have paid attention sooner? And hey, none of us know that answer.
Right.
So Lana's your educator to give you the tools and to get through it. And I highly value my relationship with Lana and how we get to talk about these things. And don't wear a piece of, oh my gosh, oh, should I? Don't wear your should clothing. Get in touch with Lana, create a moment. She's probably going to be offering some things. So follow her website, see what her offers are going to be. Do you have anything right now, like an online class that you're doing as a group, or is it still mostly individual work?
It's individual work. I plan to do the actual work. I'm only authorized to work individually online, but I do have plans to do some webinars, so I can give some pieces of it, and
Okay.
that'll be group.
So I'll help put that information out when we get it. And right now, so that all of you know, this will be saved to my YouTube channel. So it's the Vitality Mentor YouTube channel. And you can get this podcast. You can send it to your friends. You can send it to anybody who needs Lana's help, or you just need to help calm them down in this current time, because it is an interesting time. It is a unique time, and it is not a time for which all of us have tools to thrive versus stress. And so I think that we should all tune in to what Lana has to share with us so we can thrive. Do you have any last words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Yes, let's get out in the sunshine and let's go find a way to laugh. The more laughter we can bring in,
all right,
the better we'll be.
I got it. Thank you very much.
Related, but
pardon me?
That's not grief related.
Well, it is. I realized that, so just to tell one more story, my dad was quite the happy man, and he liked to be called Happy Tom. But I had to do the eulogy at his services, and it was tough. But I told a story that I knew would get everybody to laugh, and I'd asked everybody that came to wear bright colors, because my dad was a bright, upbeat, sunshiny kind of guy. And so luckily, I got through the whole thing and got everybody to laugh, because in the last 30 seconds of my 10 minutes, it was like blithering, whatever. But luckily, I had the punchline. Everybody laughed, even though I'm bawling, and it got over. So laugh, everybody, even though you're bawling.
That's right. You can do both. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Lana. This will be posted out on YouTube, and hopefully you all make use of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.